Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to dive into some of the most pressing issues that are facing our nation. Everything from a chaotic clash at an ICE facility to a very cryptic social media post by none other than the former FBI Director James Comey. And we're going to talk about a transformative legislative package that could really reshape America's future. We're going to dig into the shifting political landscape and how it's really going to impact everyday Americans like you and I. So we've got a lot to talk about today. So get ready, everybody. All right, and let's do this.
This is The Springer Show, the voice of conservative truth. And now, here is your host, Brian Springer.
Hello, America. Hello. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. I'm glad to have you here with me today. This is The Springer Show. We try to be the voice of conservative truth as much as we can. So, we've got quite a bit to talk about today. We've got, a really packed show. I didn't want to talk about a whole lot and overwhelm everybody because there really is a whole lot going on in the news right now. So I really wanted to just mainly focus on a few very important things. About maybe a week ago or so, there was an incident in Newark, New Jersey at a place called Delaney Hall. It was May 9th, 2025. When a group of Democratic lawmakers, it was Representatives Bonnie Watson Coleman, Rob Menendez, and LaMonica McIver. I believe I said that right. They, alongside with Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, attempted to do a routine oversight visit, as they call it, at the Delaney Hall Detention Center in Newark, New Jersey. Now, for those who don't know, the Delaney Hall Detention Center is a facility that's been recently reopened as an ICE detention center under a $1 billion deal with a private prison company that has become kind of a flashpoint in the debate over immigration policy. Really what began as a political statement, it quickly spiraled into chaos when this group of Democratic lawmakers clashed with federal agents. Mayor Baraka was arrested for trespassing, but those charges were later dropped. That's a whole nother story. I did talk about Mayor Baraka's arrest, I believe, in my previous podcast, so check that out for more details. But a quick rundown, they showed up, they wanted to do oversight. The ICE detention facility said, look, there's a way to do that. You haven't called, you haven't made an appointment, anything. You just show up with camera crews and protesters. It looked more like a PR stunt, really, or a political stunt, a way to get their names in the news, especially with the upcoming midterms. But they finally let Newark Mayor Baraka in, spoke with him a while, then said, okay, you've got to leave. He refused. They arrested him for trespassing. Rightly so. Had that been you or I, the same would have happened. And it should have been. Well, when they arrested him, oh Lord, all hell broke loose. Video evidence, including some body cam footage released by the Department of Homeland Security, shows Representative LaMonica McIver making physical contact with agents, and some allege that she was body slamming a female officer. It is obvious on the video that McIver was assaulting ICE agents, but I don't think I'd use the term body slamming. There were some forearm jabs, some pushing, shoving, definite unwanted contact that would probably land you or I in a lot of hot water. And I don't think that she should be any different, really. Shortly thereafter, there were talks about McIver possibly being charged and arrested. But, McIver is a member of Congress. So House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries took a defiant stance against it. He called the potential arrest of lawmakers, all lawmakers, not just her, a red line. And he accused the Trump administration of trying to intimidate Congress. That's, you can't make this up. Okay, so just take a listen to what Hakeem Jeffries had to say.
Your statement the other day after there was this incident in Newark, you said they better not touch our members.
Correct.
What happens if they were to go and arrest these members, or if they would try to sanction them here in the House of Representatives?
They'll find out.
What would you do?
They'll find out.
What recourse? But doesn't that broach a...
They'll find out.
They'll find out.
Doesn't that go across...
If you're saying they'll find out.
What's the red line, though? I know we have this...
It's a red line. It's very clear. First of all, I think that the so-called Homeland Security spokesperson is a joke. It's a joke. They know better than to go down that road, and it's been made loudly and abundantly clear to the Trump administration. We're not going to be intimidated by their tactics to try to force principled opposition from not standing up to their extremism. It hasn't happened during the entirety of this failed term. It didn't happen when Donald Trump temporarily was sitting high
from this failed term
in the immediate aftermath of the election. Do you think it's going to happen now when he's the most unpopular president in American history after his first 100 days? Give me a break.
That's
no
not
one's
true.
intimidated by this dude. No one. And so there are clear lines that they just dare not cross.
Clear lines that they just dare not cross, he says. Wow, that almost sounds like a threat to me. Although not a direct threat to anyone specifically, and not a clear threat, still sounds like a threat. Why he's taking such a hard stance against this, I don't know. He uses terms, the Trump administration. It is my belief that you are a congressperson under a sitting president. You are part of that administration. You need to be working with the administration for all of American people, not just the left or the right. His words are damning and very damaging to him. And I promise you, he's not going to do anything about it at all. But we'll see. We'll see. I really don't think he will. Similarly, though, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, she warned on Instagram that targeting the representatives would lead to, quote, a problem, end quote. A statement some might interpret as kind of a challenge to the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the border czar, Tim Homan. So take a listen to what AOC had to say about that.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, on Representative, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger. Right now, her Butterfinger is Representative LaMonica McIver. If you lay a finger on her, we're going to have a problem. So you've got House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez both making threats. If you do anything to a congressperson, there's going to be a problem. You're going to cross a red line, a line you dare not cross. That's it's pretty tough words right there. So in the latest news, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver now faces 2 counts of assaulting, resisting, and impeding federal officers, as announced by interim U.S. Attorney Alina Habba on May 19, 2025. That's right, she's being charged. Oh, poor thing. So, McIver calls the charges purely political, arguing that ICE agents escalated the situation unnecessarily in a statement that she put out. So McIver, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, released the following statement responding to charges brought against her. Quote, earlier this month, I joined my colleagues to inspect the treatment of ICE detainees at Delaney Hall in my district. We were fulfilling, words are hard, our lawful oversight responsibilities as members of Congress have done many times before, and our visit should have been peaceful and short. Instead, ICE agents created an unnecessary and unsafe confrontation when they chose to arrest Mayor Baraka. The charges against me are purely political. They mischaracterize and distort my actions and are meant to criminalize and deter legislative oversight. This administration will never stop me from working for the people in our district and standing up for what is right. I am thankful for the outpouring of support I have received, and I look forward to the truth being laid out clearly in court. Well, you're right. It's going to go to court. You've been charged. But something that bothers me. ICE agents created an unnecessary and unsafe confrontation when they chose to arrest Mayor Baraka. No, they arrested Mayor Baraka. The unnecessary and unsafe confrontation came from you and the crowd, not the ICE agents. If your visit should have been peaceful and short, you should have called first, not shown up with a bunch of cameras, camera crews, and protesters. Probably should have called, made an appointment. Hey, we're so-and-so from Congress. We'd like to come do an oversight. Just check the place out, and we'll be out of your hair. Okay, cool. Show up Thursday, 10 o'clock. Would have been no big deal. They knew exactly what they were doing. Absolutely. This evidence shows a member of Congress assaulting federal officers, and there should be consequences. Words are hard. I'm sorry. Been a long day at work. There should be consequences regardless of the party. The rule of law does not bend for titles or affiliations. And as the Democrats have said time and time again, no one is above the law. This incident, however, is not just about one event. I promise you that. It really is a symptom of a deeper issue, okay? The Democratic Party is struggling to connect with Americans right now. Polls are showing their favorability at a record low of 27 to 29% in March 2025. That's pretty low. When you've got congressional leaders prioritizing protecting their own over upholding the law, what that does is it alienates voters who value fairness and accountability. That is not about politics, that's about principle, okay? The American people want leaders who respect the rule of law, not those who threaten federal agents for doing their jobs. Congressional members seem to be losing sight of the fact that they work for the American people and are held accountable just as the American people are. They are not somehow above it or beyond reproach just because they wear a congressional lapel pin. Congress needs to understand. Now, this is both sides, left and right. Their temporary title is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. Folks, in time of uncertainty, preparation is your greatest asset. That's why I trust My Patriot Supply for long-term food storage solutions that can last up to 25 years. It can be a natural disaster, some kind of economic turbulence, or just straight unpredictability of today's world. But having reliable food supply will give you peace of mind. My Patriot Supply offers high quality, easy to prepare meals that ensure your family is ready for anything. I've got my own stockpile, and I encourage you to do the same. Just visit preparewiththespringershow.com to explore their options and take control of your future today. Don't start waiting until it's too late. All right, now that we've got the first ad out of the way, let's move on. Let's talk about the beach. We all love the beach, don't we? Most of us do, I think. I love it. I love the beach. Love walking on the beach, the waves, the sand, the smell, the ocean breeze. But I've never seen seashells, as many seashells as I have seen. I've never seen seashells in a formation of numbers as I walked up to them, not having put them in that formation myself. So that doesn't ring true with this case, apparently. This story is kind of bizarre and troubling. This is, we're talking about James Comey, former FBI director. On May 15, 2025, he posted a now deleted Instagram photo of seashells on the beach arranged to form the numbers 86, 47, side by side, right next to each other. And he captioned it, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk." Now, for those unfamiliar, 86 is a slang term that can mean to get rid of, or in some contexts, to kill. And 47 refers to President Donald Trump, the 47th president, of course. The Instagram post was quickly interpreted by many, a lot of people, including the Trump administration and President Trump, as a veiled threat against the president, as a threat calling for his assassination. So Secret Service and Homeland Security obviously got involved. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem condemned the post, announcing Secret Service investigation, and President Trump himself called it a call for assassination during a Fox News interview. Comey, after deleting the post, he claimed that he didn't know what the numbers meant, which makes absolutely no sense. But he assumed it was a political message, not a call to violence. Let's be honest here, okay? James Comey, former FBI director, the head, the top dog, the big cheese of the FBI, with decades of law enforcement experience. He's not naive. He might be a little dumb, especially for posting that, but he is not naive. The idea that he didn't understand the implications of 86-47, strange credulity, okay? It calls into question his credulity. Words are hard, folks. Words are hard. You know what I'm saying. But giving his history of clashing with President Trump and him being the top law enforcement officer in the entire country, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say he probably had some sort of a clue as to what 86 meant. Now, whether he meant just get rid of him or he meant to assassinate, that's up for interpretation. There's nothing definitive saying one way or the other. So you can't really charge him with anything besides the First Amendment plays in here. I mean, he does have the First Amendment right to free speech. Even though there are some things that we wish people wouldn't say that might be included with free speech, they do have that right. So take a listen real quick to what the former FBI Director James Comey who was recently on MSDNC, what he had to say.
You are back in the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but that's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it. And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, "Why would someone put an address in the sand?" And I said, "I don't know." And we stood over it, and I said, I think it's some kind of like political message. And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
James Comey, you are a liar. Okay? She did not look at that and say, oh, who put an address in here? Especially since she knew the meaning of 86. You did not look at that, not knowing what it was, and say, I think it's a political message. Just 4 random numbers in seashells in the sand is a political message. You are lying. You didn't come across it. I feel like you probably put it there. But even if you didn't, you knew without a shadow of a doubt what it was. Now, whether you wanted to post it saying we should just get rid of President Trump, or you thought that an assassination would be in order, I don't know. I can't say. You have the First Amendment right to post it, but a person of your, God, dare I not say importance, you are not important at all. The office that you have held previously as former FBI director, you know what it means. You know the implications. You shouldn't be posting stuff like that. That's ridiculous. So this is also not James Comey's first brush with controversy. Back in October 2024, he posted another seashell photo. Isn't that crazy? It must have been another one that he just happened upon. It was a seashell, I think, painted blue and had "Vote Harris" written on it. So this kind of shows a pattern of provocative social media behavior. You dang liar. So the Secret Service interviewed James Comey on May 16th, 2025. But legal experts suggest prosecution is probably unlikely due to free speech protections, which I understand. This is more one of those, it's not illegal, it's just stupid. And, the damage is done. It's already done. Comey's actions are feeding into a narrative of recklessness among Democratic figures, which is further eroding their party's standing at a time when only 27% of Americans view them favorably. This is not the time to be acting a fool. But for you, the listener, this kind of raises a critical question. What does it mean when a former FBI director engages in such behavior? It's not just about one post, it's about the erosion of trust in our institutions completely. When someone with Comey's background acts this way, it really undermines the integrity of our system. And at a time when President Trump's approval rating remains steady despite relentless attacks, it's clear that Americans are looking for stability, not provocation. If you have any thoughts on that, hey, let me know. I'd love to hear them. Now, enough with the seashells. Let's turn to some good news. just for a minute. The one big beautiful bill is a comprehensive legislative package that was championed by President Trump and is a bold step toward delivering on conservative promises. Okay. On May 18th, it passed the House Budget Committee, setting the stage for a full House vote. Let's just cover a couple things in it, break it down a little bit, and kind of what they mean for you. So, first, he's working on permanent tax cuts. Okay, that will extend the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, lowering corporate rates and increasing standard deductions. This will save taxpayers an average of $5,000 annually. I mean, I'd like to save that, wouldn't you? The no tax on tips or overtime eliminates taxes on tips and overtime, obviously. It boosts income for service workers and overtime earners. And let's be honest, I mean, the majority of Americans probably fall into that category. Social Security relief. It reduces taxes on Social Security benefits, and it really supports the seniors on fixed incomes. They couldn't get the no tax on Social Security because that has to be a whole different bill. They can't go into reconciliation with all this. And it's going to take a super majority to win, which seems unlikely at this point. It's going to be a harder road to travel down, but not something that can't be looked at in the future. But for now, if you are single and make, what was it, 75, I believe, 75,000 or less, then you can deduct 4,000 a year from taxes. If you are married, make 50,000 or less, you can deduct 4,000. So that would be a $4,000 savings on your Social Security taxes. So it's not no taxes on it, but it's giving money back another way. So it's still good. Okay. Medicaid reforms. This has been a big topic, especially with the Democrats who keep wanting to push false narratives. Medicaid reforms that they are looking at with this bill cuts benefits for illegal immigrants. That's going to save billions. It's not cutting money for any legal American. It's not cutting Medicaid or Medicare just because they want to. It's cutting benefits for illegal immigrants. It's going to save money. Don't listen to these Democratic fearmongers who want to tell you that the nasty Republicans are going to cut your Medicaid, cut your Medicare, take all your subsidies, take it all, and you're just going to be left out in the cold. It's not true. Border security, that's going to fund the border wall and some additional personnel, which will enhance national security. This is a good thing. We've already pretty much locked down the southern border. Now we need to work on the northern border. We can discuss that later, but since the southern border has become so difficult, you've got cartels who are scooting around to the north and coming in. We probably need to fix that. We're looking at energy dominance to reduce oil and gas regulations, which will promote energy independence. By promoting energy independence, we can reduce energy costs and put more money back into the economy and in the taxpayers' pockets and have cheaper energy. This is all good stuff here. Okay, this is all good stuff. So this bill really is a game changer. It delivers on promises to put more money in your pocket, secure our borders, and boost American energy. It is actually projected to increase the GDP by 0.6% over a decade, though it reduces federal revenue by $4.1 trillion. Critics, including some Republicans, worry about the fiscal impact, while Democrats oppose the Medicaid cuts, of course. Perhaps we should have a whole nother talk about Medicaid versus Medicare, welfare, and requirements to work to earn them. Another time. For everyday Americans, this bill spells relief, less taxes, more jobs, and a stronger nation. Okay. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, she kind of runs through the bill. It's a little long. It's like 7 minutes. Bear with me. I'll try to break it up if I can. But it's information that we need to hear. So just take a listen to this.
In other news, the One Big Beautiful Bill passed the House Budget Committee last night, bringing it one step closer to final passage. The One Big Beautiful Bill is perfectly named because it represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver on the Make America Great Again agenda responsible for President Trump's landslide victory on November 5th. The America First policies in this bill are the reason why Republicans currently have the majority in Congress right now. Passing this bill is what voters sent Republicans to Washington to accomplish. And that's why it's essential that every Republican in the House and the Senate unites behind President Trump and passes this popular and essential legislative package. This bill will be the single most pro-small business, pro-family, and pro-American worker legislation ever. This bill will give Americans the largest tax cuts in our nation's history. When Republicans pass the bill, Americans will be keeping more of their hard-earned money and taking home much bigger paychecks. The One Big Beautiful Bill will deliver some of President Trump's central campaign promises. No tax on tips for our hardworking waiters, waitresses, and service workers. No tax on overtime for our law enforcement officers, our firefighters, and all those Americans who are putting in extra hours to make ends meet. And a large tax deduction on interest payments for Americans who purchase American-made cars. Despite desperate Democrat lies, the biggest beneficiary of this tax cut will be working-class Americans and their families. Americans earning between $30,000 and $80,000 per year will pay about 15% less in taxes after this legislation is passed.
That's going to be the majority of your, God, I don't want to say it, middle class. There's a lot of us who this is going to really affect. But we continue.
And according to a brand new paper from the White House Council of Economic Advisors, the average family with 2 children's take-home pay will be up to $13,000 higher because of the increase in wages and reductions in tax obligations. The CEA study also said that the average overtime worker receives a tax cut of roughly $2,000. Again, this is great news for our nurses, our police officers, and all those who work overtime to make ends meet across our country. Put simply, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill will be a boon for working-class America. This One Big Beautiful Bill is also pro-family. It will increase the child tax credit to $2,500 per child, establish optional savings account for newborn babies with a $1,000 credit added, and strengthen paid family leave. This bill also delivers historic tax relief to America's seniors by allowing middle and low-income Social Security recipients to deduct an additional $4,000 in payments from their taxable income.
Now, wouldn't that be nice to have that extra $4,000 deduction? Imagine that extra $4,000 in your pocket. Some people say, well, $4,000 over a year, that's not a lot. Well, I promise you, it's going to help more than you think. There's a lot of tax cuts that are coming that will affect a lot of us and really help. So, and we continue.
Income. If Democrats get their way and the Trump tax cuts are not extended, Americans will face the largest tax hike in history to the tune of $4 trillion. Republicans must not side with Democrats in helping them raise taxes.
Okay. Did you hear that? The Democrats are against this. It's projected that not a single Democrat will vote for this. I want you to understand, they are the ones who are either they're not reading it, not understanding it, or they don't care. It's just about doing anything against President Trump, even though this is good for the American people, which includes Democratic constituents. They want to not vote for it. Vote against it. And that's going to raise taxes. That's going to make the economy worse. If that happens, just know it was the lovely Democrats that did that. Let us continue.
The One Big Beautiful Bill also provides critical protections of Medicaid, which will strengthen and preserve the program for decades to come through common sense efforts to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. Medicaid will no longer be used to pay for barbaric gender mutilation procedures on minor children. And the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are currently improperly receiving Medicaid benefits will be kicked off the program to preserve it for.
Thank God. Let's kick them off the program. They don't deserve it. They don't need it. And not using it to mutilate children. Thank God. Lord, let me bless them. I'll tell you what, every day we are blessed. Let us continue.
For hardworking American citizens who need it. President Trump and Republicans are protecting Medicaid benefits for pregnant women, children, disabled individuals, low-income seniors and families, and the most vulnerable Americans in our society. And that's what Democrats are so angry about. Basic Medicaid protections that will stop the funding of transgender insanity and illegal aliens from ripping off American taxpayers. As you all...
You know why, don't you? You understand why they're mad. Because the illegals and the transgender positive, however they say it these days, I don't know, supporters who support mutilating children and emboldening children to switch their genders. That's their voter base. So they don't want them to lose that because they get mad and won't vote for the Democrats. That's their voter base. So either way, we're almost there. We're almost there. Keep bearing with me. And we continue.
As you all know, over his first 4 months in office, President Trump ended the previous administration's open border crisis and secured our homeland in record time, all using executive authority. Now Congress needs to act. The One Big Beautiful Bill is the most significant investment in our nation's border patrol and law enforcement agents in our nation's history. The bill ensures that President Trump's popular and successful border security measures are made permanent. Republicans have the backs of Border Patrol and ICE agents who were put through hell over the past 4 years and have quickly worked to secure our southern border. And that's why this bill gives them more resources to do their jobs, including a $10,000 much-needed bonus to ICE agents and Border Patrol agents over the next 4 years. To provide those brave agents with desperately needed reinforcements on the ground, the bill allows for the hiring of thousands of new ICE personnel, customs officers, and Border Patrol agents. These significant hirings will empower President Trump to continue delivering on his promise to carry out the largest mass deportation in the history of our country. Again, that is a promise that Republicans made to American voters. It's a promise they were elected on, and it's a promise Republicans on Capitol Hill need to keep: secure our border. To supplement those efforts, the bill's funds will fund the completion of President Trump's signature border wall. As a result, 701 miles of primary wall, 900 miles of river barriers, 629 miles of secondary barriers, and 141 miles of vehicle and pedestrian barriers will be constructed when this bill passes, along with cutting-edge technology to secure our homeland from dangerous illegal alien invaders. This bill also advances our national security and defense interests by ensuring the United States military has the necessary resources to remain the strongest and most lethal fighting force in the world. The bill will provide resources for the construction of President Trump's Golden Dome to safeguard Americans from potential attacks, give the Coast Guard resources to build more modernized ships, and the Air Force resources to acquire better planes. If all of those incredible things were not enough, the Big Beautiful Bill also finally modernizes air traffic control in America, a bipartisan issue. The bill will allow President Trump to deliver on his promise to overhaul and update our air traffic control systems to keep Americans flying as safe and efficiently as possible. The previous administration failed to act and do this themselves, despite repeated warnings from the GAO, which has resulted in unacceptable delays at major airports like Newark that the Trump administration is working hard to address. When the One Big Beautiful Bill passes, We will replace the current antiquated system. The FAA will enhance safety in our skies, reduce delays, and power the future of air travel in the United States. That's just some of what this historic legislation will accomplish.
She's right. The Republicans need to unite behind the one big, beautiful bill and support Donald Trump and his agenda. Caroline Leavitt really lays it out. She explains it a whole lot better than I could. Moving forward, we'll see where these votes go, see if we can get some votes going the right way, move this bill forward, and do some positive things for our country. Before we continue any further, let's talk about being prepared for the unexpected. With everything that's going on this year, fires, windstorms, power outages, solar flares, apparently the sun is trying to attack us. Everything is kind of hitting harder than ever. I've been looking for ways to protect my home and family, and that's why I went with the Grid Doctor 3300 from My Patriot Supply. This thing is an absolute game changer, okay? It is the only solar generator with built-in EMP protection, and it has the power to run your fridge, medical devices, lights, whatever you need. It's not just sitting in a closet waiting for the next emergency. I've used mine to cut down on electric bills. I'm planning to use it to power up barbecues, camping trips, just work outside, whatever. It's quiet, it's fume-free, it's safe to use indoors or out, and totally portable. So, in a world where the grid is kind of becoming less reliable by the day, the Grid Doctor 3300 gives me and my family peace of mind. You can get yours at preparewiththespringershow.com. That's preparewiththespringershow.com. So today we've already hit a lot of topics, some important stuff, okay? We've jumped around a little bit. We've talked about the big, beautiful bill, the Seashells by the seashore. I can't say that. And, of course, the Delaney Hall incident. But let's just take a second to talk about the state of our nation's politics, okay? The Democratic Party as a whole is facing a crisis, and they know it. Polls from March of this year show that their favorability is at a record low, 27 to 29%, with even their own supporters expressing frustration. So, a CNN poll found that 57%, that's over half, of Democrats want their leaders to fight the Republican agenda rather than compromise. That reflects a complete party divided and out of touch. Okay, this isn't just about numbers. It's about a failure to connect with the Americans who want solutions, not resistance. I don't understand why you would rather fight than compromise. Move the country forward. But no, just anything that happens to do with President Trump, let's go completely against it. It's ridiculous. I mean, if you're going to bring that up, just touching on, now I don't really want to discuss it too much, at least not in this particular show, but just touching on the fact that former President Joe Biden was recently diagnosed with cancer. Our hearts and prayers all go out to him. We hope for a speedy recovery. He's an elderly gentleman. He's got some health issues. I would hate to see anybody afflicted with cancer. President Trump, he sent a message out saying that, he and his wife are also praying for President Biden and their family. He didn't say anything negative at all. The majority of conservatives that I know are all wishing President Biden well wishes and prayers. However, Democrats, no, they're not. They're not saying, our leader, our former president, we wish him health and wellness. No, all they're doing is wishing it was President Trump. It's supposed to be the orange man. Too bad the orange man didn't get cancer. Too bad he's not dying. What's wrong with you people? I mean, really. Just, it makes me sick to think that you have that kind of a mindset. But it's stuff like that, okay? It's stuff like that that disgusts me about that particular party. They are not connected at all with reality for some reason. Anyway, President Trump's approval rating still holds steady, despite claims that he's the least liked president. His 100-day approval rating was low, but he has retained 94% of his 2024 voters, which shows a pretty loyal base. His resilience comes from addressing issues like the economy and immigration, which resonate with everyday Americans, like you, like me. The big, beautiful bill is a prime example. Practical policies that seem to put people first. That's what he wants to do. That's what we should do. The Democrats, however, face a tough road ahead. A very bumpy, long, winding road. Okay? Uphill, both ways in the snow. A 2026 midterm map actually favors Republicans. And young voters who were once a Democratic stronghold are shifting right. You know what's happening? The country's waking up. It's not about a red wave, a red tidal wave, anything like that. These young folks are seeing how these people around them are acting, and they're disgusted like I am. They're saying, no, this isn't what we need. This isn't what we want. We need conservatism. We need people with their heads on their shoulders who are about moving this country forward. It's not about one party winning and another losing. It's about what Americans want from their leaders. Right now, the data suggests that they want action, not obstruction. And Trump's agenda is delivering on that. But what does this mean for the future of our country? Okay? I want to hear your thoughts on that. I want you to share your thoughts with me on Facebook, X, Instagram, or email me at springershow@protonmail.com. I'd love to hear it. If you want, sign your name to it. I'll put your thoughts, your opinions, whatever. I'll put them on the show. We'll talk about it. I may even invite you on here, and let's just discuss it. So, as a host of this show, I'm committed to bringing you the stories that matter, from national headlines to local issues. That is why I reached out to Andy Nilsen and Dan Brown. These are two candidates who are running against Tom Tillis for his North Carolina Senate seat in the 2026 midterms. I am hoping to have both of them on the show to discuss their visions for our state and how they plan to address the challenges that we face. These interviews should give you a front row seat to the future of North Carolina's leadership. If you have any questions that you'd like me to ask them or topics you'd like me to discuss with them, please reach out to me and let me know. I also am working with local Republican Party officials to host them both and let them both speak to local counties and get the word out. We need somebody better than Tom Tillis in the North Carolina Senate seat. We need somebody who's going to have President Trump's back, who's going to have North Carolina's back. And Tom Tillis is just not that person. Not anymore. I don't really think that he ever was. So I have heard from Andy Nilsen, and I will be doing an interview with him. I believe it's next Wednesday. Dan Brown, I'm still waiting to hear back from, but it shouldn't be long. And we can hopefully get those going for you. I've also contacted Robeson County Councilman Lance Herndon and County Councilwoman Judy Sampson, who both recently switched from the Democratic to the Republican Party. Their decision reflects the broader political realignment that we are seeing especially here locally. And I want to explore how it's going to affect our community. Their switch reflects a broader trend that voters and leaders are gravitating toward conservative values that prioritize things like accountability, economic freedom, and security. So it is a sign, really, that the Democratic Party's grip is slipping, not just nationally, okay, but in communities like yours, mine. I have yet to hear back from either of the Robeson County council persons, Lance Herndon or Judy Sampson, but I am hopeful, and we'll give it a little bit of time. So this is, an official invitation to both of them. Contact me, give me a call, email me, whatever, so we can get you on the show here, and you can share your insights. I do try to keep the information not just national, but local as well. At least local to me in North Carolina. If you have some things going on in your state that you'd like to bring to my attention, that you'd like me to try to bring to others' attention, please email me. Contact me on one of the social media sites anytime. I love to hear from the listeners. These local stories, they are just as important as the national ones. Everything starts local and it's going to work up. So these stories, they show how the values that we discuss here really play out in our backyard. So we've gone through a lot today. I appreciate every one of you being here with me. But that's going to be it for me today. We've covered Delaney Hall, James Comey's Seashell controversy, the big beautiful bill, and the different shifting political tides. These stories weren't just headlines, These things are about the future of our country and the values that we as conservatives hold dear. I want this show to be a place where you feel empowered to think critically, to hear and spread the truth, share your views, and get the word out. So tell your friends, okay? Share this episode, like, comment, send me some feedback on wherever you get your podcast. I love hearing from you guys, but let's just keep this conversation going, okay? Until next time, I want you to stay informed, stay prepared, and stay safe. And God bless you all.